Now, despite being a key Trump campaign issue, a tough immigration stance seems to perhaps, maybe be softening. Did that sound definitive enough? Absolutely not. Donald Trump himself says, hold up, there's no flip. No flip, no flopping, no nothing. We want to bring in our panel, take a closer look at this. Carl Higbie is a Donald Trump supporter and Navy SEAL. Susan Del Percio is a Republican strategist and former Rudy Giuliani administration official. Alex Burns is CNN political analyst and national political reporter at the New York Times. And Angela Rye is CNN political commentator and the former executive director of the Congressional Black Caucus. Thank you all. Obviously, as always, a lot to chew over here. Carl, I have to go to you first, okay? Flipping, flopping, who cares at this point? Right. The point is, what does he want to do in terms of his stand on immigration? Because if he's going to say that there isn't going to be mass deportation, right, if he's saying that there is going to be a pathway to keep these people in the United States legally, what do you think that will do to his base support, people who are voting for him because he is tough on immigration?
Well, like I said, I can't speak directly to what he's going to do, personally in his head. Right now, I can say what his message is. His message is, look, if you are here illegally, we're going to send you back. You can come back legally through our process, but we are going to find you and send you back. And it's going to be done humanely. And I think that's what Kellyanne was referring to as the process of how he's going to do it. But back to the question. You're a Trump supporter. What do you think of that? If he softens his stand on immigration, you're all for that? I think as long as we're holding a line of legality here, if you're here illegally, if he deports you, I'm good with that. I think that, illegal immigrants who are here, yes, many of them are great people and they came here for the right reasons, but they broke the law, and that needs to be dealt with appropriately. We are a nation of laws.
Susan, what do you hear in all this?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that, and we can talk. Donald Trump can soften the edges on this. For example, if you were here from when you were 3 years old and you've already served in the military and you're an adult or whatever path you've taken, it seems a little insane to actually say you're going to go back.
You can't serve in the military if you were an illegal immigrant.
Actually, yes, you can.
No.
And if there's question. Anyway, but if you've done these things, if you've been in this country for a long time, there has to be some way of staying here and applying for the proper citizenship. I think this helps a lot of Republicans who feel that Donald Trump is too extreme. And perhaps it will even help him with the Hispanic community. But again, we don't know what he's doing, so this is all speculation.
He's going to outline that on Thursday. I mean, Angela, when you look at all of this, and I know the knee-jerk reaction is to say, look, it's not going to make any difference. It's Donald Trump flip-flopping. But when you look at that key sliver that Jeff Zeleny was telling us about, we're not talking about the base on either party. We're talking about the people in the middle. Do you think it might appeal to them? Because independents will take a look at this and say, hey, wait a minute, he is not going for that extreme position.
I think that there are some people, perhaps on the fringe, who may think that Donald Trump changing his mind, and he actually will keep his mind changed this time. There are probably a handful of people out here that think that. I think what is more convincing for some voters are the fact that he picked a Governor Pence. I don't support any of his policy prescriptions, but he is far more moderate than Trump is on this immigration issue. I think the fact that there are basically now 2 different campaigns. Kellyanne Conway is running one campaign, and Mr. Bannon is running another. I think it's one worth looking at because Kellyanne has history with working with Governor Pence. She is speaking more to a moderate wing of the party when she says the plan is TBD. And of course, you have Breitbart on the other hand. Everybody needs to get out of here. We're going to build a big, beautiful wall, and we're going to keep out drug dealers and rapists. Those are 2 very different segments of the Republican Party. One used to be called fringe. Now they're, of course, saying alt-right. But I think that you have a legitimate issue on your hands, and so he's trying to run a campaign on 2 trails, and at some point, those things are going to collide.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, unfortunately, you have the tall order. Make some sense out of this chaos. Is there a strategy there? Throughout the week, we're going to see it unfold. That's what the campaign says. And says, look, it is a softening, and this will be, to use Mr. Trump's own words today, this will be fair, it will be firm, and to add another word in there, they say it will be humane. You're not going to see middle-of-the-night deportations.
But fortunately, it's actually not incumbent on us to make sense of all this. It is the burden of the campaign and the candidate to make some sense of all this. And right now, as we've been discussing, this is a total muddle, and we actually don't know what changes, if any, are going to be made in the substance of what Trump is proposing. Now, I do think you have seen an effort by Trump over the last week to make some more conventional gestures toward the political mainstream, even just asserting that you want to be humane in your policies is an aesthetic difference from what he was doing before. But for folks who are alienated by the idea, and this isn't just about immigration, for folks who are alienated by his proposals related to national security or Muslim immigration or Hispanic immigration or trade, simply saying, you know, I'm going to propose the same set of policies, but I'm going to be a little nicer about it, that doesn't get the job done. He's going to need to answer a lot more intensive questions about, so are you really going to build the wall? Do you really think Mexico will pay for it? And so far, he's not backed off any of that.
And before we leave this topic, we had put up some pretty stark numbers about him trying to reach out to another group, and that's the African-American population here in the United States. I mean, come on, 1%, I'm not even sure. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, Angela, in terms of him looking to that group, is it not better that at least he is trying to speak to them directly right now? And
I don't believe he's trying to speak to African Americans. I don't know who he's trying to speak to. He's delivered several speeches in front of all-white audiences. He continues to say things that are patently offensive, not just to black people, but to people who, I normally don't do this, have black friends, right? He has gone above and beyond in trying to be offensive. And I think the most important thing that Donald Trump has taught us all this week, if we didn't know it before, black people are not monolithic. And if people didn't do anything else, they went to look up if all black people were poor, if they didn't have jobs, and if the schools were terrible. You know, that is not the case. There are many people who have changed the face of this electorate and have made a difference in elections over and over again who don't represent the types of people he was talking about.
Yeah, and we'll continue to talk about this as this whole new campaign, or is it new, unfolds. Now, pundits have been marveling at how Donald Trump bounces back from scandal. We've all seen that, but his rival can't seem to beat back a few thousand tiny emails. Our panel looks at what the next document dump will mean for the Clinton campaign.
Asia